president of the United States to have killed a dead man who's been dead for 10 years and was willing to lie repeatedly, went through the vice president's office, Biden, who, of course, is not the very brightest man in the world. I think he has 2 aneurysms. This is the man who told us about FDR giving a speech into the press in 1929 on television when there wasn't a television and there wasn't FDR.
FDR wasn't in until 33, yeah.
That's exactly right. But this is our leaders. These are civic leaders. These are civilians who have been so-called elected, no better than any of the others, no better than anybody else. And it went through not only through the military intelligence, went through the CIA, and I'm afraid the one I've admired the most, General Petraeus, really has to evaluate what he has done, what his involvement is, and who was involved in the CIA, because this is an old CIA storyline that goes back to the days of Clinton, Bush Jr., and I would strongly recommend that Petraeus do an evaluation of the CIA and either fire the people there or resign himself, including James Clapper, who's a former general, including Petraeus, who's a former general. I would say strongly that the 3 generals who are in charge of military intelligence, I will not name them, they know who they are, should resign, because we do have too many
just
generals.
Like putting ink into the blood system to, to test where there's leaks and things, you put information in to track it. So explain what you did for folks.
Well, what I did was to literally put in a tracer, an information tracer, to see where it bounced around and to see who reaffirmed the story of Osama bin Laden and how they tried to repeatedly in the intelligence community convince me that Osama bin Laden was really alive and that they had photographs of him. And I said, give me a break. I do television shows. I've seen his medical records, and none of you in the intelligence community has ever dealt with his medical record. And al-Zawahiri is his physician. He was dead 10 years ago. He was never alive. And the point of fact is, once you hit the Osama bin Laden story, you then get to the President Obama, who's lying. You get to Bush Jr., who lied, and you get to Clinton, because it's Clinton who sent in a physician in Dubai at the American hospital under the CIA and was part of the 9/11. So
and by the way, that's CBS News. It's admitted months before 9/11 that happened. But specifically, just to digress here for a moment, Dr. Pieczenik, because I'm trying to understand this, all of this is going on, and we have them selling this idea that bin Laden's dead, but then they put out the fake photo and let it circle around and later admitted it was a fake photo. But when I talk to weaker-minded people in the military and in the general population, they think they saw a classified photo, and then I show them the photo and say, see, that's the one they admit is fake. So they did a little psychological warfare thing there, too, where they put out a fake photo but never said it was the real photo to make people think they saw the photo. I mean, just all these tricks here. And, of course, you said it was a fake Situation Room photo. You said all that came out. They admitted that most of the story's a lie, but now they're saying still believe a little bit of it. And then I talked to a Navy SEAL whose best friend is in SEAL Team 6, and he said SEAL Team 6 does believe that someone blew up their helicopter and killed them to basically cover up the whole bin Laden situation.
Well, let's go on and let me show you what happened on the tracer bullet. I went through the entire intelligence and military community in order to find out how many people were involved in denigrating you and me on the Osama bin Laden, how much money the American public has wasted, how much dysfunctional behavior there is in the military intelligence.
You're exposing an Operation Mockingbird. Okay, go ahead. I mean, you're exposing.
I get a call from an English reporter who works for, quote, the Huffington Post in California. I do not want to identify him because he has a daughter. He knows exactly who I am. I know who he is. He's unnoticed. But basically, I will not identify him. He was MI6. Then I get a meeting, literally a meeting from that meeting that I had in November from a Jewish Orthodox young man who works at the Lincoln Laboratories at MIT. I will not identify him. A Mossad operative, your typical low-level, incompetent Mossad. Now, this is Israel's finest product. You have basically what we call a schmendrick, a guy who didn't even know what he was doing, was doubled up so fast, it was pathetic, trying to talk to me and convince me that Osama bin Laden was dead. So you have MI6, you have CIA, you have the Mossad, then you have the Huffington Post of the United Kingdom. It is shameful that they were involved. And that is a desecration of actually the Internet and it's a violation of criminal law. Then we go on to the Washington Post, because we're not finished yet. Who comes forward and has to propagate the story but the man we call the harlot of the intelligence community, David Ignatius, one of their key writers. And you would think by this time the Washington Post would know enough and have enough decency and journalistic professionalism to get rid of David Ignatius, who barely can write a novel, but does write fiction in his nonfiction articles, where he talks about Obama is the head of infidelity and killing, and he wanted to kill Vice President Biden to take over the presidency. Now, you have to be a moron to literally think about these stories. And a man like Ignatius should resign. He should be fired. And this is the kind of event that went on. The millions of dollars that were wasted, the millions of dollars that had to be taken in order to discredit you, but more importantly me, on the lies that were occurring in order for our men to die in Iraq for no purpose, for men to die in Afghanistan because Obama didn't really know what he was doing, and they're still dying now, for generals who were nothing more than professionals, lying, cowardly individuals who were never able to assert the fact that they didn't belong there, who I have reprimanded for over 2 to 3 years. Instead of wasting your time promoting your career, worry about the veterans who are coming back, who have no jobs, who are not taken care of in the Veterans Administration, who are told by my physicians that they're going to be treating 1,000 patients for one physician, and the nurses are going to be treating them. And that's General Shinseki, who had his leg blown off in Vietnam. But if we treated him today the way we had treated him in Vietnam, he wouldn't have had any leg prostheses. All
right, Doc, let me stop you for a moment. Let me stop you for laymen out there, because you're moving fast. When you say it's illegal, you're saying clearly there was an intelligence multi-nation operation to have media put out talking points domestically, which is illegal under federal law, to have the CIA involved in domestic propaganda operations and penetrating the country. But other governments were involved, which really makes it media espionage. And so, yes, that is illegal. And you were testing this. I mean, can you tell us specifically, though, what you were privately giving them that then came back to you to prove that it was intelligence operations?
It's simple, very simple counterintelligence that I do in 30 years, taking down regimes and neutralizing operatives, often having to neutralize my own CIA operatives who are really dysfunctional. In 30 years, many of them have become exceedingly dysfunctional. That institution has to be ripped apart, taken down, and actually eliminated. There are major heroes in that institution. They're no longer there. 60 to 80% of them now on contract officer. General Petraeus should be now interrogated and questioned as to what he was doing and what he has been selling and allowing to happen. It was simple for me. A guy who's had 30 experience, a man who's retired, really without any assets. All I had to do was double one of my friends and operatives, tell him certain things, allow those elements that I told him to spread through the system and see where it went. It was like putting a blue stain into the water and seeing where it went.
And so that tells you they're really worried about this, and that tells you that they know it's a lie. Have you gotten any word about them killing the Navy SEALs?
But not only was it a lie, of course the Navy SEALs never killed Osama bin Laden. There was no way they killed him. He was already dead. What the Navy SEALs may have done was to attack some building near Pakistan. But in the process, here's what happened internationally. We have alienated our ally Pakistan. We have created a civil war with the ISI, the Internal Service Intelligence System, which I knew about and worked with Yaqub Khan, against the civilian government of Pakistan, which we cannot control, and Obama, the president, does not know how to control it, neither does Hillary Clinton. We have created problems in Iran. We have allowed Israel to get out of control. We now have Turkey as a problem. We have Afghanistan as a problem, where now we have desecrated bodies. We have men who go out ostensibly to kill people, and now we have veterans coming back. We have been totally dysfunctional in Iraq. We have had an army that now has to be put in question. They have lost wars and have created more deaths and casualties since World War II than any other institution that I know of. And I served in the military. I was a colonel at 32 and rejected a promotion to brigadier because of the fact that I did not want to remain in a socialized system where everything was taken care of for you. Your food, your uniform, and you didn't have to think. Now we have produced some of the smartest generals and some of the most dysfunctional generals I have ever seen. Cowardly, unable to assert themselves, and egregiously self-contained in terms of what they want for themselves. What we have now is what Eisenhower warned about. A military-industrial complex where the civilians, our legislators, are totally held hostage to every desire that they want. We're now shifting from the army in Iraq and Afghanistan to a navy that we don't even need to go to war or have an economic war or a force structure outside of China along with Australia. So we're building up alliances with Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar. Our military has to be downgraded. It has to be sequestered. We cannot do it with Panetta. We cannot do it with our legislators. We cannot do it with our system.
Well, Doctor, sometimes we've got to get you on. Well, you're here today talking about some of these issues that I agree with. We have people like the top White House financial advisor, John Corzine, openly stealing billions of dollars, caught lying, and still doesn't get in trouble, making 40-to-1 bets. And I always thought that the New World Order crowd really had their act together. I know they're good at dominating us and running our lives, but they're not in control of themselves, is I think the point you're getting at here. And I'm seeing a Caligula-like craziness out of the elite right now, and I'm seeing the others that are awake scared, stealing whatever they can and leaving the country. What's your take on that? Because I'm seeing a lot of really dangerous signs out of the power structure that they are just going completely crazy.
Months ago, I said on your show, John Corzine should have been in prison. He was a senator who bought his Senate, and he bought it for millions of dollars, $75 million. He went to become governor of New Jersey. He was corrupt. He was totally disliked. He was corrupt there. And anybody who knew him at Goldman Sachs, where he was continuously an issue in terms of his abruptness, in terms of his incompetency, should know now that he was corrupt. That issue that he lost $1.3 billion and could not remember where the money was is going to be displaced on a poor woman by the name of Edna O'Brien, who was told by him that she should not have done it, and she refused to sign something. So it's going to be seen out in the congressional hearings as to what happened. He has to go to jail. Blank Fine of Goldman Sachs has to go to jail. A totally corrupt individual. Cohen of Goldman Sachs has to go to jail. You got Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase, another institution that has betrayed and has totally ripped this country repeatedly, has to go to jail. Warren Buffett has to be investigated for his involvement in the banking crisis, and instead coming out with these pontious, righteous statements about, he's willing to pay taxes. Sure, he's willing to pay taxes, but he was willing to take Moody's and upgrade false securities, which he knew about. He owned 40% of Moody's when he told
Sure.
everybody.
Well, Doctor, expanding on that, here, you have Obama signing the NDAA, saying he'll disappear any citizens he wants, and I want you to break this down. You've got him taking out of the deep freeze the war footing emergency COG powers for when we're under nuclear attack.